Hello there, my name is Ramesh Francis Kahn. Some people know me by Ramesh, some people know me by Francis, and some people know me by my most famous name. There was a mule named Francis, so some people call me Jackass. Welcome to the Theory of Everything. Only a jackass would try to do this, so you can call me whatever you want. I'm going to put together 3 parts to this series. It's going to be the big picture, the written picture, and the living picture on the theory of everything. We're going to start with Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. That's the written picture. And it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This is a theory of everything. So here's what we're going to start with. In the beginning, time. Time is consisted of 3 dimensions, past, present, and future. That's the first thing God created, is a dimension of time that we're in. It's on your hand. The living picture is on your hand, and we'll look at the big picture in a minute. But in the beginning, past, present, and future, God created the heavens and the earth. Now, I'm not here to preach religion. I'm not here to get you to believe anything or judge you morally. I'm trying to put together a concept for you to judge. The classic argument for the existence of God, I'm not here to tell you who God is, but there's a classic argument for him. The strongest argument is the argument of design. If you have all the parts of an airplane laying on a runway, those parts will never assemble itself by itself. If you have all the parts of a computer laying on a desk, those parts will never assemble themselves by themselves. The argument of design is that organization implies intelligence. Your cell phone, the battery can't even move itself into the phone. And if I showed your cell phone and said this cell phone organized itself by itself, you'll tell me I'm crazy. So, that is the argument of design. That's in the beginning, God created time and space, the heavens and the earth. Now, the interesting thing about Genesis chapter 1 is that God works from darkness to light. Here's what I want you to understand. Nobody that's ever lived that lives possesses all knowledge. They do not possess all wisdom, all knowledge, and if they possessed all knowledge, they cannot make an accurate assessment of the data. But the brilliant thing about Genesis is that as we have gone on in time and space, Einstein has shown that time is not an absolute dimension. We're going to talk about that later in part 3. But God works from darkness to light. We've discovered there's something called dark matter. 73% of the universe is made up of dark matter. 23% of the universe is made up of dark energy. Mass attracts, it pulls, it has gravitational force, yet the universe is flying apart. So dark energy is pushing us away from each other. 73% dark matter, we see the gravitational pull of dark matter on regular matter. Dark energy is pushing things apart, that's 23%. That leaves regular matter at 4%. Now, in this regular universe, there are laws, invisible laws, that create things, that define things. F equals ma, that's an invisible law. E equals mc squared, an invisible law. Where these invisible laws come from? Laws imply a lawgiver. Design implies a designer. Now look, the Earth is a perfect aquarium, okay? We're the right distance from the sun. If we're any closer, we'd burn up. If we're any further away, we would freeze. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In Genesis 1, he created infinite life. If anybody out there could tell me how much biological life is on this planet, I'd be glad to know. Tell me how many different plants there are and connect them all from a common origin, both on land and especially under the sea. Tell me how much life there is in insect life, microscopic life, plant life, bird life, fish life, mammal life, and help me understand all the life that we found in fossils that's dead, that's extinct. How did it all come about? Infinite life on this planet shows that an infinite God created a perfect aquarium. The Earth has the right amount of oxygen, it has the right mass. If it wasn't the right size, all the oxygen would disappear, we'd all die. It has the right amount of water, it's right. I'll ask you another question. 12 men have been on the moon and 0 biological life. The moon is only 256,000 miles away. I have cars that have more miles than that. So, you're in a perfect aquarium. So let's start, okay? We're going to go to the big picture. We're going to go to the written word, and we're going to go to the big picture. The big picture is in the stars. In Genesis 1:14, God, it says this. And God said, "Let there be light in the expanse of the sky to separate day from night, and let them serve as signs." The lights in the sky are signs. Now, these signs are what we call the constellations, but the particular constellation, the particular signs that we're talking about is what's called the zodiac. The sun travels through 12 zodiac signs, and they are right there. It's an elliptical, okay? So I'm going to combine the big picture with the written picture on the first go. Genesis 1 is Virgo, virgin beginnings. Virgo is the largest sign of the constellation, that is, of the zodiac. That means the sun goes through 12 grouping of stars that make up a picture, and the first picture we're looking at is Virgo. Those stars form a virgin. The second, so in Genesis 1, you have a beginning of Virgo, virgin. There's a virgin up there in that constellation. Now I'm going to ask you another question. Do you think the universe just blew up and all these signs came about? And who the heck ever saw them? We can't see but 1,000 stars. These are stars that comprise galaxies with signs in them that were here before we were born. I didn't write the Bible, and I certainly didn't hang the stars, and neither did you. Virgo, virgin beginnings. Libra is the second house. Libra is the house of the scales, the judgment. And God in Genesis 2, Genesis 1 is virgin beginnings, that's Virgo. The next house behind Virgo is Libra. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 16 and 17, God says, God commanded man, "You are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from a tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you do, you will surely die." So there's the scales. Eat, don't eat. You're given a choice. That's Libra. Now Genesis chapter 3 is Scorpio. In Genesis chapter 3, Satan and the serpent, and Eve have a discussion about this eat, don't eat thing. So in Genesis chapter 3, Scorpio comes in. But God said, "You must," Satan speaking to Eve, he goes, "Did God say you must not eat from the tree that is in the middle of the garden? You must not touch it or you will die." You will not, that's what Eve said to Satan, Satan goes, "You will surely not die." The serpent said to the woman, "For God knows when you eat of it, your eyes will be open. You'll be like God, knowing good from evil." Look, Scorpio it comes from the idea of an insect in poisoning us. The serpent gave us a choice, or talked us into taking this tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And he said, "You won't die." Well, this faculty of perception of right and wrong created a very amazing outcome. Genesis chapter 4, the first murder in the Bible, is recorded in 4:8. And it says that, "Now Cain said to his brother, 'Let us go out in the field.' And while in the field, Cain attacked his brother and killed him." The only constellation that has a weapon, Sagittarius. Sagittarius is half man, half animal. Bows, he's holding a bow, and bows and arrows have killed many humans in history. Cain murders Abel. It's in the 4th chapter of Genesis, the first murder of Sagittarius. And Sagittarius stands, in Latin, stands for positive. Cain murders Abel. You have to be you have to close your heart to murder your brother. That's why it's a half man, half animal sign. Cain, the first murder is over religion, and it's been over people thinking they're right about God forever. They kill their brother. It's an insane concept, and it fulfilled the prophecy. God said, "The day you eat of it, you will surely die." The knowledge of good and evil justified every religious war. It justifies ISIS. It justifies insanity. Now, the 5th house is Capricorn, and that's Genesis 5:28. And we need relief from this death. But Capricorn, the scapegoat, is chosen. His name is Noah. And Lamech says, his father says, "He will comfort us in the labor and painful toil our hands have had from the ground the Lord has cursed. So the scapegoat is chosen. Capricorn is a sea goat. Capricorn is in the sea part of the galaxy, next to Pisces and Aquarius. In Genesis chapter 6, the flood is announced, and that's Aquarius, the next house. These houses are all in order, exactly like I'm telling you. In Genesis 6:17, God says, I'm going to bring a flood on the earth to destroy all life under the heavens, from every creature that breathes breath. So the flood is announced, that's Aquarius. The seventh house is Pisces, the double fish. And that's Genesis chapter 7. And chapter 7, verse 22, everything on dry land that had breath of life in its nostrils died. Everything on the face of the earth was wiped away. Now, there's a lake in South America called Titicaca. In that lake, there are seahorses. It's the highest lake up there. And in Washington State, there's a lake called Crater Lake. 10,000 feet up, 4,000 feet down, 6,000 feet up in the air, there are fairy shrimp that live in the lake. On Mount Everest are clamshells. On every mountain on the earth, there's shells, seashells, there are fossils that are intertwined with beds of fossils, fish and mammal. There was a worldwide flood, and it's recorded by every culture in human history. It's archaeologically shown that every mountain, the whole earth, everything was underwater. That's Genesis chapter 7. Everything died. Okay, so the stars have these signs, and they tie in with the written word. It's in the big picture of the galaxy. It's in the written word. Now let me show it to you a third way. It's written in your heart. Communication has three forms. It is the word, it is the voice, and it's the breath. It represents Trinitarian concepts, okay? The word, well, here's the thing about the living picture. We've seen it in the stars in the big picture. We've seen those seven constellations tie into the first 7 chapters of Genesis. Now in your heart, the same story is true. Man is born of a virgin and will face judgment, Libra. We all have this knowledge of good and evil, this concept of perfection that we never live up to. And guess what is pointing right at the heart of Scorpio? Sagittarius. When you don't live up to what you think you should live up to, whether it's to get out of bed early or do something else, your heart is condemned. And Sagittarius is pointing the arrow at the heart of Scorpio, self-condemnation. Unfortunately, that's what suicide's about. And ladies and gentlemen, the series has 3 points. Truth exists, your life has purpose and meaning, and God is worth discovering. Not religion, but God. The 5th house is Capricorn. We all know we need relief, the scapegoat idea. The 6th house is Aquarius. That means we need to be cleansed from our past failures, etc. And the 7th house is Pisces, a double fish. And a great theologian said this. He says, "Oh Lord, oh God," whoever you want to choose, "our hearts are restless until they find you." In our hearts, we know there's something missing. We know there's something more. Until we have a conscious contact with God, our human nature alone is lonely. So these 3 patterns in the stars, in the book, and in our hearts are all true. Now I'm going to show it to you in a different way. Theologically, let's just use Christianity, the 3 great monotheistic religions. The scriptures, these 7 chapters are Jewish. I'm not here to convert a Jew to Christianity, or a Christian to Islam, or Islam to... I'm not here about that. The 3 great monotheistic religions hold to the truth. And it's simply this. The Virgin gave birth to a son who will take away the sting of sin, and the wage of sin is death, Scorpio, then Sagittarius, and he's called the Lamb of God, who takes away the sinners of the world. And if that's conversion, then baptism, baptism is conversion, and the double fish is evangelism. Let us be fishers of men. Pisces.